April 25th, where we're reading Judges 21 and Ruth 1 and 2. Now, these chapters finally get us out of Judges. We finish up this last story. It's a terrible story. I'm fine to be done with it. And then we get into Ruth, which will be more positive, although it's not exactly positive in the first two chapters. You'll see that develop a little bit later on. For now, if you're interested in a more detailed breakdown of what is in each of these chapters, Judges 21 picks up from the story in Judges 19 and 20. The Levite has essentially killed his concubine. He allowed her to be taken advantage of by nasty. He cuts her up in a bunch of different pieces, sends it out to Israel. Israel comes together and murders Benjamin, essentially. Cuts them down to 600 men. But there was also this promise that Israel took that they would not let their daughters marry Benjamin. And so there's no way for Benjamin to actually reproduce and become a tribe again. Essentially, they have killed Benjamin, and they will just watch the last numbers die out over the next few years. But then they say, oh, we can't do that. I know we took a promise about it, but we're not actually allowed to do that. And so instead, let's bend the rules a little bit. Look, there was a city that didn't attack Benjamin. We can attack them and then tell Benjamin to capture those women, and they can be Benjamin's wives. And so they bend the rules and, find a loophole in the law so that God's not angry with them or something. But then that's not enough. And so they push Benjamin to actually steal a bunch of women who are dancing at the tabernacle celebrations to the Lord. So they interrupt a feast to the Lord. These women are dancing, they're rejoicing before the Lord, and they tell these evil people to go and take those women and then leave, and no repercussions actually happen. Welcome to there being no king in Israel. Welcome to everyone doing what's right in his own eyes. It's not good, but that ends the book of Judges, and now we're into Ruth. Ruth is very interesting. Ruth takes place during the Judges time period in which a man and his wife and their two sons move over from Israel. They move over into Moab, and Moab, they weren't supposed to move away from the land of promise, but ultimately the husband learns the bad way because he dies. And he just leaves the two sons and his wife. Now, the two sons also marry, and then they also die. They've married foreigners, and now it's one Israelite woman and her two daughters-in-law who are Moabites and foreigners. Ultimately, Naomi, who's the woman, really hates her daughters-in-law, tries to shove them away. Ruth stays with her and actually provides for her and is a blessing to her. She comes back to Israel and ultimately meets this man named Boaz in Ruth chapter 2. Boaz is pretty cool. Boaz is pretty great. And as you'll see that develop in next week's reading, you'll see a lot of positive things come from that relationship. Anyway, that was a happy section. Now we're in Ruth and everything's a whole lot better. Next week, we'll be reading Ruth 3 through 1 Samuel 14. So tune back in.